day, everyone. So the topic I want to be considering today is national income. I'm sure a lot of you have been listening to national income. You even hear people talk about GDP, GNP, PI on TV, and you wonder, when will I ever understand all of this GDP, all of this index, all of these economic terms they are mentioning. Never mind, in this class we are going to simplify everything and say you just need to follow me, so that next time when you hear real GDP, nominal GDP, when people are discussing about it, maybe at newspaper stand or on TV, then some of you can say, oh, this is what they are trying to say. So today our topic that we are looking at is national income. National income. Okay, that's the topic we are looking at today. So of course, national income in economics is a topic that a lot of people have been finding issues with. Why? It has some calculations, and so a lot of people are always finding it difficult. But this class is going to simplify everything. So national income, as it were, in a layman's language, let's explain it. Let's assume most of the time when you are talking about national income, you are talking about a country as a whole. A country like Nigeria, United States of America, United Kingdom. What is their national income? That's like the total money the country is making. As an individual, you make money. That is your personal income. But when you are talking about income of a nation, you are talking about what? National income. Now, let's look at how it operates naturally. Now, let's assume that Nigeria as a country can produce only three things. Nigeria as a country can produce only three things. They can produce biro, they can produce phone, and they can produce bag. Let's say these are the three things that Nigeria can produce. Now, these three things that Nigeria can produce, you call it output. You call it what? Output. So Nigeria can produce only three things, which are biro, phone, and bag. Now, by the time Nigeria sell the biro, let's assume they got 10 naira from it. When they sold the phone, they got 20 naira from it. When they sold the bag, they got 30 naira from it. So 10 naira plus 20 naira plus 30 naira, that is what? 50 naira. That means the total money Nigeria has gotten is 50 naira. So that is their national income, after selling the three things they can produce. So when you want to define national income, you say that national income is the monetary value. Underline that word, monetary value. Now, monetary value of goods and services. That is, I am not looking at the good or the service that the country produces. I'm looking at their monetary value. That is, I'm not looking at the biro. I'm looking at how much does the biro cost? 10 naira. I'm not looking at the phone. How much does the phone cost? 20 naira. So the monetary value of all goods and services produced in a country over a given period of time, usually a year. So the monetary value of all goods and services that a country produces is whatever they get from it is what we call national income. So it means that if a country can produce bag, phone, and biro, by the time they sell it, they are now going to have an amount of money. That amount of money they have is what we now call national income. Okay, I'm going to come back after this short break. So, like we said, national income is the monetary value of all goods and services produced in a country. Every country is expected to produce something. Whatever they produce, when they sell it, what they get is what we call national income. And Nigeria, like people used to say, is a mono economy, a country that depends solely on oil. However, in the 2019 GDP, agriculture has surpassed the revenue of oil because the current government is trying to diversify. That's, by the way, how you must have an understanding that you need money to run any economy. And for you to run the economy, you have to produce. And then when you produce and you sell, what you get is the national income. So if you produce little, you get little. You produce much, you get much. So all of these dynamics is what we want to look at in this topic. And I want you to follow me carefully, because I want to believe that at the end of this topic, you understand what you mean by national income, gross domestic product, GNP, real GDP, nominal GDP, personal income, income received not earned, income earned not received, disposable income, and a lot of terms that can help you to understand how an economy runs. Okay? Now, I haven't defined what national income is. One more time, I said national income is the monetary value of all goods and services produced in a country over a given period of time, usually a year. Now, these are basic terms that we are going to dissect in national income for you to be able to have the basic understanding. So you have GDP, you have GNP, you have NNP, you have NI, you have PI, and then you have PDI, and then you have PCI. Now, GDP means gross domestic product. Gross domestic product. GNP means gross national product. NNP means net national product. NI means national income. PI means personal income. PDI means personal disposable income. And PCI means per capita income. We are going to pick them one after the other and dissect it. And I want to believe that by the time we are through with this, you should be fine with questions on national income. So the first thing we are going to be looking at is gross domestic product. What do you mean by gross domestic product? GDP. You know, you have always said, oh, the GDP of Nigeria is so low, is so bad. In fact, Nigeria is not doing well, and everybody will be insulting the government. They will be saying our government is not doing anything. Now, all of those dynamics are what we are looking at here. And like I said, we want to make sure as much as possible we break it down. Now, when you say gross domestic product, what do you mean? Let me give you an illustration. Now, let's say this is Nigeria as a country, and this is United States of America as a country. You know that inside Nigeria, we have Nigerians, and inside Nigeria, we have USA. That USA now is representing foreigners. So inside Nigeria, we have Nigerians, and we have people that are non-Nigerians. Inside USA, we have Nigerians, and then we have USA people. That's the people that belongs to that country. Now, let's say that in this Nigeria, inside Nigeria, produce 20 products, and then the USA inside Nigeria produce 30 products. The Nigeria inside USA produce 40 products. USA inside USA produce 50 products. I want you to follow me carefully. Now, the total product produced inside Nigeria is 50. That's 20 plus 30. But if you look at it, that product is produced by Nigerians and non-Nigerians. Inside where? Nigeria. Now, all the total product produced inside Nigeria by both the citizens of Nigeria and those who are not citizens of Nigeria, as long as that product is produced inside Nigeria, it is what we call GDP. So when you say GDP now, the product produced by a Nigerian, a Chinese man inside Nigeria, a USA man inside Nigeria, a Lebanese man inside Nigeria, all the product produced by both who are Nigerians and non-Nigerians inside Nigeria is what we call gross domestic product, GDP. I'm sure you are clear with that. Then, before I move away from GDP, GDP can be valued in two ways. GDP can be valued in two ways. So, valuation of GDP. Now, the first way you can value GDP is to say real GDP. I'm sure you always hear that word. That what's the real GDP of Nigeria? Then you have nominal GDP. Real GDP and nominal GDP. What do you mean by real GDP? The word real in economics means old or previous. Old or previous. Now you see, everything you have in a country can be valued in two ways. I can ask you, that phone in your hand, how much did you buy it when you bought it? You bought it for, let's say, 75,000. If I ask you, how much are they selling the phone now? You will now tell me they are selling it 105. The real GDP of that phone is 75,000. The nominal GDP of that phone is 105. So for every product in a country, you can measure them at their old value. That's what we call real GDP. Then for every product, you can measure them at their current value. So like if your house rent, if I ask you, 4 years ago, how much were you paying as your house rent? You say, oh, I am paying 150,000. I now ask you, how much are you paying as rent now? You say, I'm paying 250,000. You know, before you were paying 150. Now you are paying 250. The same house. So that means if I want to value that house using real GDP, the value is 150,000, old value. But if I want to value that house rent in the current GDP, it is what? 250,000. So when a country produces a product, they can value that product at their old prices, and they can value those products at their current prices. So it means that, let's look at Nigeria for example. Let's say Nigeria produce biro. They produce biro. They also produce phone, and they also produce let's say brush, for example. So Nigeria produces only 3 things. Now if I say, let's value this at the old price. Let's say biro before was selling for 10 naira, but biro now is selling for 20 naira. Phone before was selling for 50 naira, but now they are selling it for 100 naira. Brush before was selling for 60 naira, but now they are selling it 150 naira. You know that what makes prices of things to change is inflation. Hope you know that. I still bought this thing yesterday 200. How come it's now 250? That 200 is real GDP. That 250 is nominal GDP. What has brought the difference is what? Inflation. Now, if I now say, Nigeria produced biro, phone, and brush. They were selling biro for 10 naira before, phone for 50 naira before, brush for 60 naira before. So if I ask you, what is the real GDP of Nigeria? The real GDP of Nigeria is 10 plus 50 plus 60. That is 120. That is, I added all the prices of the product produced in Nigeria using the old price. But if I say, how much are they selling biro now? 220 naira. How much are they selling phone now? 100 naira. How much are they selling brush now? 150. Okay, if I add that together, 150 plus 100 is 250, plus 20 is what? 270. So it means the nominal GDP of Nigeria is 270. Why? Because I am adding the current prices of the goods. So nominal means current. Nominal means what? Current. So real means previous or old. That is, so anytime you hear, the real GDP of Nigeria is bad, what they are trying to say is that when you measure all the things produced in Nigeria in their old value, That's real GDP. But when they say, oh, the nominal GDP of Nigeria is becoming okay, and they, in fact, they are just mentioning all of those things, and you'll be wondering, what do they mean by real? What do they mean by nominal? That's what I have just explained. Okay, now let's now look at how can you measure GDP. Of course, these are the two ways you can value GDP: real GDP and nominal GDP. You call this one valuation of GDP. How to value GDP. The next thing I want us to look at is, how do you measure GDP? How do you measure GDP? You call that measurement of GDP. So, measurement of GDP. Now, looking at measurement of GDP, don't forget, all of these things, we want to take them one after the other and break it into pieces. Okay? So, I'm going to take a break, and after this I'll come for measurement of GDP. So welcome back. I was explaining gross domestic product, and we're about to look at measurement of GDP. Measurement of GDP. So how do you measure GDP? Measurement of GDP. Now, the measurement of GDP are three. Number one, you have income method. Income method. Number two, you have expenditure method. And number three, you have products or output method. Product or output method. These are the three ways to measure GDP. Now, when you say measurement of GDP, what exactly are we saying? That is, if you want to know the GDP of a country, you want to calculate it. How do you calculate for the GDP of a country? That's what we mean by measurement of GDP. So we are going to take the first one, which is income method. Now, I will explain the income method of GDP by saying, do you know all the factors of production? What are the factors of production? Now, if you remember, the factors of production, of course, are land, if you remember, labor, capital, and what? Entrepreneur. So, the factors of production are four. I always represent that by cell. Cell. Capital, entrepreneur, land, and what? Labor. I represent it by cell so that you won't forget. That's like an acronym for it. Now, I'll quickly ask you, what's the reward for land? The reward for land is rent. What's the reward for labor? Reward for labor is wages and what? Salaries. What's the reward for capital? The reward for capital is what? Interest. And what's the reward for entrepreneur? The reward for entrepreneur is profit. Some people used to say profit and loss. Well, loss is not expected to be a reward. You can call it a disaster, because an average businessman wants to make money. So when they make profit for their effort, that's what we call a reward. Okay, so look at all this reward now. Reward for land is rent, for labor is wages, for capital is interest, for entrepreneur is profit. Now, when you add all the reward of factors of production, that is, if you want to calculate GDP using income method, it means rent plus wages and salaries plus interest plus profit. Now, are we together there? That is, if I want to find GDP using income method, I will add all the rents, all the wages and salaries that people are collecting, all the interest that people make from their, from their investments, and all the profits that investors make from their investments, or businessmen make from what they are doing. If I add that together, that is what we call national income. Using which method? Income method. So income method is the addition of rent plus wages and salaries plus interest plus what? Plus profit. Now if I want to use expenditure method to measure national income, expenditure method, I'm going to be adding C plus I plus G plus X minus N. I'm sure you always see this one. Now the C stands for consumption. The C stands for what? Consumption. The I stands for investment. The G stands for government expenditure. Government expenditure. That's government expenses. And the X stands for export. And the N stands for import. So this X minus N is what we call net export. When you subtract import from export, you call it net export. Don't forget. So now expenditure method is addition of consumption, that's household consumption, plus investment, plus government expenditure, plus export minus import. And of course, your product or output method is when you add primary product or service together. So this one, of course, is the addition of your, let's say, agriculture plus services plus mining plus fishery, etc. Anytime you are adding primary production and service together and you are using that to measure the GDP of a country, you call that product or what? Output method. Okay, we have explained what GDP is. Okay, so the next thing we are looking at is GNP, gross national product. Gross national product. Now, gross national product. Gross national product. You call that GNP, gross national product. Now, your gross national product is the total product produced by the citizen of a country within and outside the country. The total product produced by the citizen of a country within and outside the country. Now let's say this is Nigeria and this is USA. Now in Nigeria, you have a Nigerian who produces 20 products. In Nigeria, you have a USA guy who produces 30 products. In USA, you have a Nigerian guy who produces 30 products. And in USA, you have a USA guy who produces 40 products. Now look at, you know, the other time I explained to you that GDP is the total product produced inside Nigeria by both the citizen and foreigner. As long as it is produced inside Nigeria, it's GDP. So from this my illustration, the GDP of Nigeria is 50, 20 plus 30. The GDP of USA is what? 70, 30 plus 40. Now if I want to get the GNP of Nigeria, I want you to follow me. Now, don't be distracted, don't be distracted. Look at me. So, look at me. So, when you are talking about GDP, you are saying product produced by Nigerians inside Nigeria and Nigerians outside Nigeria. You know, inside Nigeria, Nigerians produce 20 products. Outside Nigeria, that's in USA, they produce 30 products. So, 30 plus 20 will give me 50. Now, let me use another number for the sake of explanation. Let's say total product produced in USA by Nigerians is 35. So 35 plus 20 is going to be what? 55. Then if I ask you, what's the GNP of USA? That is total product produced by USA outside USA and total product produced by USA inside USA. So 30 plus 40. Let me call this one too 45. So that 30 plus 45 will be what? 75. So GDP means total product produced by the citizen of a country within and outside. I'm sure that you know that in about 193 countries in the world, Nigerians are everywhere. You know, Nigerians can survive everywhere. Nigerians are peculiar people. So we are saying that all the product produced by Nigerians all over the world, plus the one produced in Nigeria, everything together is what we call GNP. So, and of course, you can also value GDP in two ways. So you have what we call real GNP, and then nominal GNP. When you say real means previous or old. When you say nominal means current. So old GNP, current GNP. Okay? Having said that, the next thing we now want to look at is that at every given point, you must know that your GNP is always your GDP plus FIFA N. FIFA N is net factor income from abroad. Net factor income from abroad. Let me explain that using this my diagram. Net factor income from abroad. Now you know that the total product produced by Nigerians and non-Nigeria inside Nigeria is 50. That's 20 by Nigeria, 30 by USA. So I can say, don't forget, I want to calculate my GNP, and I said it is GDP plus FIFA N. I want to explain that FIFA N. Now for Nigeria now, the GDP for Nigeria is 50, 30 plus 20. So let me write it 50 plus FIFA N. Now means that what is produced by Nigerians outside Nigeria? How many product is produced by Nigerians outside Nigeria? That's what? 35. Then how many product is produced by non-Nigerians inside Nigeria? How many product is produced by non-Nigeria inside Nigeria? Is 30. So you subtract it. So 35 minus 30 is what? 5. 50 plus 5 is what? 55. So this 55 now is the same thing as this. So what we are saying is that to get your GNP, it is the GDP of Nigeria plus what is produced by Nigeria outside, bring it inside. Then the one that is not produced by Nigeria, that is inside, take it away. Then you have this. So this 35 minus 30 is what we call FIFA N. And that FIFA N means net factor income from abroad. So when you add your net factor income from abroad to GDP, you always have GNP, which is the same thing as what we have here. Okay? So I'll come back after this short break. Okay? So, having said that, GNP is GDP plus FIFA N. Then the next thing we are looking at is net national product. Our net national product is GNP minus depreciation. Now another name for depreciation is consumption of fixed capital. So don't forget, another name for depreciation is consumption of fixed capital. Consumption of fixed capital. You call that CFC. Then your NI, which is national income. Your NI, which is national income, is NNP plus indirect business tax. Indirect business tax plus minus subsidy. So then your PI, which is personal income, PI means personal income, is NI plus income received not earned. Income received not earned means that what you work for, and income received not earned means what you did not work for and they give it to you. For example, there's what we call transfer payments. Now, you know, it's just like saying you are having a bonus. You didn't really work for that thing, but they are giving you in your place of work. Maybe they say, oh, like, you know, we have what we call 13th month salary, where they give workers to motivate them. So those are income that you get, but you didn't actually work for it. Income received not earned minus income earned not received. Income earned not received. And of course, this income received not earned includes transfer. You also have bonuses, or you have what we call bursary. You know, we have a lot of people who get bursary from the government of their states. That's an example of income received not earned. You didn't work for it, but you know they are giving you the money. The example of income earned not received include social insurance contribution. Then you have company tax, and then you have undistributed profit. Okay, so that means if I want to write the formula of personal income, the formula of personal income is national income plus income received not earned, which is these three things, minus income earned not received, which is these three things. That means that if I want to write this formula, I can write it that the formula for personal income is national income plus transfer plus bonuses plus bursary. Then I'll close the bracket and say minus. Okay, now look at this. Let me write it here. My PI can be national income plus, open the bracket, transfer payments, bonuses, then bursary. Now I'll close the bracket, minus company tax plus social insurance contribution plus undistributed profits. See, this is the formula. That means if you are given a question and you are asked to find personal income, so your national income that you have gotten, if in that question you have transfer payments, you will add it. Is income received not earned. If in that question you have bonuses, you will add it. It's also income received not earned. If you have bursary, you add it. It's also income received not earned. However, in some question you may not have the three. You may have only one or just two out of it. So whether you have the three or you have two or you have one, you have to add it. Then you will subtract company tax because it's income earned not received. You know, income earned not received means that you work for the money but they did not give it to you. You know, in your place of work, if you work and then your company makes profit, they have to deduct tax from that profit. Meanwhile, they're supposed to share the whole of the profit to you, but because they have to pay tax to the government, they will not give you the whole of the profit. So you work for the money but you are not getting it. Income earned but not received. If you look at social insurance contribution, some companies, they ask them to pay for insurance and they deduct it from salary. So you work for that salary but they did not give you the money. Rather, they gave it to insurance company to insure your life. Now, you work for it but you didn't collect it. Income earned, not received. The same thing with undistributed profit. So if you have the three in a question, you subtract. Or if you have just one or two, you subtract. That's the formula. Then, having said that, the next thing we are going to look at is PDI. PDI means personal disposable income. You know, personal disposable income means the income you have after you have paid tax. The income you have after you have paid tax. Let's assume that your salary is 10,000 naira and they deducted tax of 1,000. That 10,000 is personal income. Now, by the time they remove the tax of 100 naira, you will now be left with 900. That 900, you call it disposable income. That is income you have to spend after you have paid tax. So your personal disposable income is your personal income minus personal income tax, PIT, personal income tax. I can decide to write that in full for you. Personal income tax. And that's the formula for your personal disposable income. That's the income you have to spend after you have paid tax. And the last one, but not the least, is per capita income. Per capita income is comparing the ratio of the money that a country has and the number of people. Imagine a father that his salary is 500 naira and he has 5 children. And the rule is that he must share all his salary for all the children. You know, by the time he shared this 500 naira for the 5 children, each child will be going home with 100 naira. This is per capita income. That is the money that is accrued to one child. But if you have a father that has 1,000 and then he has 5 children, you know, one child will go with what? 200 naira. So that is why it is always advisable for any country to make more money so that you'll be able to share it among your society and everybody will be fine. You know, you are like that father who has plenty money but few children to share it among. The children we have, imagine a father that built 30 houses and he has only 2 children. One child will inherit 15 houses. But look at a father that built 30 houses and have 82 children. How will he share the house among the 82? He might share it, oh. Some may end up getting just one room. So per capita income is always comparing what you have with the number of people you want to share it with. And so the per capita income formula is always your GNP divided by the population of a country. You know, one of the reasons why China had to increase their output is because their population is much. China is 1,320,000,000. They contribute 32% to the world population. Now, if they are not doing anything about their production, they are going to be in mess. And that's why they were able to convert their economy to produce, and now their GDP is on the high side. And you know why people have been complaining about the GDP of Nigeria is because Nigeria is not making more money and the people are getting populated. We are about 201 million. And so if Nigeria is to share all the money it's making, will it be able to go around? The current budget that Nigeria made to one person is entitled to 50,000 according to the 10.3 trillion budget. In that 50,000, your health care is there, your transportation is there, your feeding is there, your schooling is there, your everything is there. Can 50,000 sustain one man for a year? The answer is no. So for any country to make the people enjoy, it might want to increase its GDP so that there will be enough to share among the country by the time you do the per capita income. So now we have explained all of this. So the next thing we are going to be looking at is the application of all these formulas. That is, how can they give you question in exam? And how can you apply all of these formulas we have written down? That is what we are going to in the next class. Okay, right now we want to look at how do you apply all of those formulas in a given question. They can give you a question like this. They will say calculate the GDP, calculate the GNP, calculate the NNP, calculate the NI, the PI, the PDI, and PCI. Of course, GDP means gross domestic product, GNP means gross national product, NNP means net national product, NI means national income, PI means personal income, PDI means personal disposable income. Don't forget, personal disposable income is income you have after you have paid tax. And then you have PCI, which is per capita income. So we are going to solve this using this example, and henceforth if you see any other question along this line, you'll be able to pieces it. Okay, let's start from the first one. Now the number one, we have to calculate GDP, and of course they have to state the method to use, because there are three methods of measuring GDP. You have the income method, you have the expenditure method, the product or output method. So in this question it has been stated that we should use income method to get the GDP. And of course, in calculating for GDP using income method, I told you that you have to know the four factors of production that we have. What are the four factors of production? Land, labor, capital, and what? Entrepreneur. And I said you look at what are the reward of those factors of production. The reward for land is rent, so you want to add rent. What's the reward for labor? Wages and salaries. What's the reward for capital? Interest. And what's the reward for entrepreneur? Profit. So when you add all the reward of factors of production together, that is the calculation of GDP using income method. So we will look at the question. Do I have rent in the question? Now looking at this question, they are in thousands. So I have rent in the question. What's rent? Rent is 40. So pick my rent. Don't forget I'm calculating my GDP plus wages and salaries. Do I have wages and salaries in the question? I have wages and salaries. My wages and salaries is 100,000. So I write 100. Then interest. Do I have interest in the question? Interest is what? 80. And of course, do I have profit in the question? Anyway, do I have profit? If you look at it, I don't have profit. So once you don't have the figure, don't manufacture it. So that is 0. So adding everything together, 40 plus 100 is 140. 140 plus 80 is 220. So it shows that the GDP for this economy is 220. Don't forget is in thousand, 220,000. So that's how to calculate the GDP using income method. Now after your GDP, the next thing you have to calculate is GNP. Don't forget that the formula for GNP, what the full meaning of GNP is gross national product. Don't forget, we've treated that previously. So GNP is GDP plus FIFA-N. When you say FIFA-N, it does not mean FIFA or football. FIFA-N means net factor income from abroad. That is the product produced in your home country that is not your own. Take it away. The product produced by the citizen of your country outside, bring it. That's the meaning of FIFA-N. So looking at this question, I've gotten my GDP. What's my GDP? My GDP is 220. So you bring it down plus FIFA-N. What's my FIFA-N in the question? Net factor income from abroad. That's what? 5,000. So if I add 5,000, I'm going to have 225. Don't forget it's in thousand, so it is 225,000. So you see that if you miss your GDP, you will miss your GNP, because the answer of GDP is inside the value of GNP. So you have to be careful when you are doing that. Okay, number 3, which is NNP. Don't forget, NNP means net national product. Net national product. And of course, your NNP is GNP minus depreciation. I told you the other name for depreciation. They may use that name in the question. Another name for depreciation is consumption of fixed capital. So in this place where you have depreciation, in some question they may not put depreciation. They will put consumption of fixed capital. They are the same thing. So that's clear. So what's our depreciation in this question? 50. Now you know, I know my GNP. What's my GNP? My GNP is 225. The value I got here minus depreciation. What's my depreciation? My depreciation is 50. So I'm going to remove 50 from 225. And of course, that's going to give me 150 plus 25 is 175. So that's 175,000. 175,000. That is our what? Net national product. Okay. The next thing we're going to be looking at is NI. That is national income. National income. Of course, the formula for national income is NNP plus indirect business tax plus minus subsidy. Minus subsidy. So here now, my NNP in the question I've gotten it. What's my NNP? 175. Plus what's my indirect business tax? Indirect business tax is 5. So come and add it. They've given it to you. Minus subsidy. What's subsidy? Subsidy is 10. So you are going to remove subsidy. Now you now have 175 plus 5. That's 180. 180 minus 10. That's 170,000. Now let me quickly explain something in this national income. I'm sure some of you remember the administration of Goodluck Jonathan, where people are shouting that they should remove subsidy, and everybody went on the streets that they don't want them to remove subsidy. Now let me quickly explain how it works. How it works is that, let's assume that a petrol importer has brought let's say 2 million liters, and he wants to sell it to the government or sell it to the people. So he told the government, I'm going to sell a liter for 200 naira. Per liter is 200. And then government will charge tax on it. Government will say, okay, for every liter, I want to collect 10 naira as tax. So by the time government charges its own tax, they will add 10 naira. So 200 plus 10 naira is 210. Then the government will now tell the marketer, my people cannot buy 1 liter for 210 naira. It's too much for them. They can only buy it at 145 naira. So what I'm going to do is that for every 1 liter, I'm going to be helping my people to pay 65 naira. So government will now deduct 65. So we are now buying it at the filling station for 145. So what this means is that if that oil marketer brings 2 million liters, government will pay him 65 naira in 2 million places. And so during the time of Jonathan, he wanted to remove the subsidy. You know, if I remove this 65, that is, I'm not paying this 65 to the oil marketer, I'll be buying it for 210. But the moment government pays subsidy of 65, we will be buying it at 145. So if government removed the subsidy, the price would go high. And that was why people rushed to the streets. They started shouting, no, 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 no. Government should not remove the subsidy. Meanwhile, government is saying that if I don't remove the subsidy, I'll be paying this money in 2 million places to the oil marketer. And that oil marketer, I have realized that most of the oil they supply is not everything that is getting to Nigeria. Some of them are diverted to other neighboring countries. And government will still pay this 65 naira in 2 million places. And at the end of the day, Nigeria may only get maybe 1 million liters. Meanwhile, they pay 65 in 2 million places to the oil marketer. And that was why government was clamoring for removal of 65. So that's the way it works. And that's what is playing out here. So anything we are doing in economics is not abstract. It's what happens real life. Now, the government or the Buhari administration is talking of removal of subsidy. What they are trying to say is that they are looking at a way of removing this money. That means you'll be buying at 210. That was why when the administration of Buhari came, the oil price jacked up. Why? Because they were able to remove, that is just like government saying, I don't want to pay this 65 naira again. I want to pay maybe 25 naira. You know, if I remove 25 naira from 210, I'm going to be having like 175 instead of 145. And so, but now the oil price has gone down due to the crash in the oil market. So all of those things that happen in economics, they are, you know, that we are teaching, they are practical. You can apply them to a real life situation. So having said that, we want to move on to calculate PI. So I want to calculate PI, so I can clean this up and put my PI there, and probably clean this one too and put my PI. Don't forget, PI means personal income. Don't forget personal income. So if I want to calculate my personal income is always national income plus transfer payments plus bonuses plus bursary, then minus company tax plus undistributed profit plus social insurance contribution. Don't forget the formula I gave you for that. So you will now look at the question. My national income, do I know it? I've gotten the answer. Is 170. Don't forget. So 170 plus transfer payment. Do I have transfer payments in the question? Yes. Transfer payment is what? 15. So bring it. 15 plus bursary. Bonuses rather. Do I have bonuses in the question? Yes. Bonuses is what? 5. You put it. Plus, do I have bursary? Do I have bursary in the question? There is nothing like bursary. So you can leave that one or put 0 there. Minus company income tax. Do you have company income tax? You don't have anything like company income tax in the question. Then do you have undistributed profit? Yes, you have undistributed profit. Undistributed profit is 15. You bring it. Plus, do you have social insurance contribution? Social insurance contribution is there. What is it? 10. So it means you only have 2 out of the 3. So you add it. So by the time you do this, you have 170 plus 15 plus 5 is 20 minus 15 plus 10 is 25. So if you do this calculation, your answer is going to be 165. Don't forget, it's in thousand. 165,000. That is our personal income from this question. Now let's try to get our PDI. PDI means personal disposable income. So to get our personal disposable income, the formula personal disposable income is your personal income minus personal income tax. So you have personal income, we have gotten it. This is the value we just got, 165. You know, the way it is that the last answer you get, you are going to use it in the next one. So this 165 now minus personal income tax. If you look at the question, personal income tax is 10. So come and deduct 10. So 165 minus 10 will give you 155. Don't forget it's in thousand. 155,000. Then lastly, we want to find PCI. PCI means GMP over population. Now let's assume that in this question, our population of the country, population is given as 200,000. They are going to give you the value for population. So you know we've gotten our GMP. The GMP we got in the question, if you check the video, the GMP in the question in the video was, let me quickly check that. Okay, the GMP in the video was okay, let me quickly calculate that. Now you know we said rent was 40 plus interest was 80. Okay, the GMP from the video is 175. So we can say 175 divided by population. Population is 200,000 divided by 200. Now if you use your calculator to do this, don't forget it's in thousand. 175,000 divided by 200. Give me figure. Give me figure. So this figure is what you can get at O. And with this, we have come to the end of national income. Okay, I am waiting for you to give me the figure of 175 by 200. 175 divided by 200. What would that give me? That will give me 0.875. So 0.875. I hope it's the same when you press your calculator. Thank you very much. And in my next class, I'm going to be looking at the second aspect of national income, which has to do with expenditure method.